Little Luna Bear, are you ready to see your human mother?
Hi, Luna Bear. Hi. Oh. Hi, little bear. Hi. Oh.
Oh, don't bite the pillow. Hey.
Hi guys, so it's been a little bit since I've done a vlog, so I want to update you on some books I've completed recently, and then I'll jump into some books that I'm hoping to get around to in the near future. I read both of the buddy read books for this month. One of them is a sequel. This is the only time that's happening. And then the other one is a very cute, fluffy YA romance contemporary book. This was because of Valentine's Day, and then this was because to kind of offset this one. And my husband and I had both read Vicious a while ago, and the way these buddy reads are going to be working, if you're new, is that throughout the entire year, we will have usually one book a month that my husband and I are both going to read, but we are not going to talk about the books with one another until we've finished them. And in the meantime, you guys can see our individual thoughts in vlogs, but we won't know each other's thoughts. So you guys are in on kind of a little inside secret. The book that we did this for last month was All the Light We Cannot See, and that was actually really interesting to see how our feelings turned out. So I'll have linked down below we did a podcast style chat for that one, and I'll have that linked down below if you're interested. We talked for quite a while, and we're gonna do the same thing for these two. But I gotta tell you guys my thoughts. I have already finished Geekarella and done a review for it, so you can watch the review, or you can fast forward if you've already watched the review and you don't care to hear my thoughts again. It was a really sweet, young adult, cute romance. There are certain elements of it that were actually pretty moving, or things that I feel like I could relate to as far as, oh, I remember what that felt like when that was where I was at in my life. I wouldn't say it was something that I found incredibly impactful where I am right now. I actually just filmed my review for Vengeful, so that will go up probably on Friday before this does. And this particular story, if you don't end up watching the review, just to sum up, I loved it. It's been so long since I read V.E. Schwab, and the hype for V.E. Schwab for so long was really, really high. And then there were some people that were like, I don't think she's even that good. And then I was like, I don't really remember. And I remember liking her, but I couldn't remember with absolute clarity. So picking this up again, I really wasn't sure what I was going to be getting into. But it was so good. And if you're unfamiliar with the story, there are people called Extraordinary who are individuals who have died, but they kind of quickly kind of came back. And so these people end up having powers that the rest of the world is not aware of. It's not something that everybody knows exists, and the powers are really varied and really different. Our characters are really, really gray people. They're really fascinating to follow if you like following almost like villain type characters. I think you'll really like it. There's also a split timeline in both the first and the second book that I think it was a plus for the story. I think it was crafted in a really clever way. And then on top of all of that, I really enjoyed her writing, and it has kind of that we used to be friends, but now we hate each other, and it's almost like a puzzle to see how they got there. So I would absolutely recommend these two books. My prediction for Sean, my husband's view on this, is that he likes it. That is my view right now. I don't know to what extent he's enjoying it, so we'll find out when we do our little podcast style chat. There are a couple of books on my TBR this month that I'm not going to be getting to in the next week. I'll probably start them at the end of February and then finish them sometime in March. And I know at least one of them is a book that a lot of you are really looking forward to, and that would be one of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, Malazan. It would be Dead House Gates. So I would probably start that at the end of February and finish it in March, in case you're wondering. The other one would be Heart of Flames by Nikki Palpretto, sequel to Crown of Feathers. I just wanted to throw that out there in case you guys were wondering, like, when are you going to start it? Have you abandoned it? Are you not going to read it anymore? That does actually bring up a question that I have for all of you. For those of you who make TBRs, do you find that you actually literally finish everything on your TBR by the end of that month? Because I'll have a TBR set, and I usually can start those books in that month, but a lot of them end up carrying over into the next month, and then I finish them around the beginning of the next. All that rambling aside, the first book would be The Traitor's Blade. This is an adult fantasy story. This is one I'm hoping to get to very, very soon. And I'm really excited because I've heard it's incredibly underrated. And I know one of my good friends, Joshana, she has her own channel, I'll link it. She read this and thought it was a really good book. And so I'm really excited to get into it, not just because of her recommendation, but when I mentioned I wanted to read it, so many of you said it is really good. I don't know why more people don't talk about this particular author, why more people don't pick up his works, but I'm really excited to do that very thing. Next up would be Ever the Brave. I actually have started this the day I finished Vengeful. I just went ahead and started this immediately because I read the first one, Ever the Hunted, a little while back. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a new favorite, but I could see potential for the series because it is a trilogy. This particular story follows a girl whose father is dead and he was the king's bounty hunter. And his daughter is a fantastic tracker because he kind of taught her his ways. But that means she's the best person for the job to find out who killed her father. And they believe it was her childhood best friend / crush. And this second book, I don't really know where it's going. I'm a little bit into the book. And I do like the author's writing style quite a bit. I have no idea what is gonna go down. I think I'll be able to get through Ever the Brave pretty fast, so I'm hoping, this is Queens of Innislayer. You guys have seen me hold this up before. This is the spine that my beautiful, adorable, sweet doggy Luna chewed up. So this is Queens of Innislayer, and I haven't read any more of it since the last time that I picked it up, and I need to finally do that. The book Spell Hacker, this is a new release, and this is one that I was interested in, so I had put in a hold at my local library, and then I got a automated phone call that was like, come pick up your stuff, stupid. So I was like, oh shoot, that's right, I reserved this. I read through a very small amount. I read the first like 20-ish pages, and I'm not really feeling it right now. I can't tell if this is a story that I want to keep going with, or if maybe it's just not going to work for me. It's supposed to be a fun heist story, and the writing is definitely very digestible. It's very easy, but I would say sometimes when that happens in young adult books, I would normally say, oh, it's probably younger end of young adult, but there's been a fair amount of cursing, and not mild cursing, like pretty intense curse words, which I don't care. If it were a movie, it would be rated R, I guess is what I'm trying to say, just based off of the language. Anyway, I teach in a little while, so I have to leave and like clean, well, I have to leave this spot and I need to clean and then teach and then get around to other tasks that I have to complete. So I will revisit with you guys in a little while. You'll get some clips of Luna because she's the only reason that I feel like anybody should watch my vlogs. And also my husband. He will have some of his thoughts for Vengeful so you guys can hear what he's thinking. Hi guys, so I just wanted to pop in really quick to do a little reading update and talk about Ever the Brave. I'm 135 pages into this book. It's a sequel to Ever the Hunted, and in the first one, I definitely felt like the main focus of the story was our main character, Britta. She was searching for her father's killer. You don't really know who he is, and I liked it well enough, and I thought the romantic stuff in the story, it did play a pretty big role in the book. And I'm not necessarily somebody who always craves a big romantic plot line, But in that particular book, I didn't hate it, and I thought it was one of the strengths of the story. And with this sequel, there are either some things that are going to lead to a potential love square, or these potential things are just going to lead to difficulties for our characters. And I'm not sure right now which direction it's gonna go. I'm very much hoping it doesn't lean toward the love square element of things, because I don't know, that I think will just frustrate me. I do like the writing in this story quite a bit, and I think that it's an easy enough fantasy story that as far as the world building goes, it's interesting and unique, and the magic is, you're kind of discovering more. There's a reveal in the book that I wasn't expecting, but I am finding right now that the world is opening up, which for some people that's going to sound really appealing. And I wouldn't say it's unappealing to me. It's just that at the moment, because I'm still pretty early in the book, the opening up of the world and other perspectives is making it so that I don't get to spend time with the characters I grew to know in the first book as much. And so I'm kind of hoping that as the story progresses, I start to be more interested in what's going on with the new people, and then also hopefully I can get more of the previous perspectives and not a love square. A random boring task I'm about to do. We bought this CD holder thing recently. I feel like nobody even uses these anymore because nobody has CDs anymore. But I had a lot of old PlayStation 2 games that I still wanted to keep. And we also have a few, PS4 games and movies and whatnot. We cleared out almost all of our movies that we didn't really love, because you can get them on pretty much every kind of streaming service now. But the thing is, there's some that aren't on those streaming services, or there's some that we just actually really, really love and can see ourselves rewatching quite a bit. Anyway, the point is, I got one of these to save space, because I'm like, well, our TV stand is, not that big. And so, look at all the space I've saved. Look at all that space. By the way, Tekken Tag. For all my Tekken fans out there, is Tekken Tag, can we all agree it's the best one? It's the best one. If you played this game, tell me who you played with, who was your pair, because I always used Jun and Jin, mother and son, and I was great and nobody could beat me. Anyway, when I did this, I was telling my husband, Sean, I was like, well, we're gonna need one that can hold our CDs, and he's like, oh, this holds like 70 something. I'm sure it'll hold enough. And it didn't, because he has an Xbox 360. So the goal for marrying people is to find somebody who has the consoles that you don't. But he had those, he had GameCube games, I had PlayStation 2, and then PlayStation 4 games. So I was like, we need another one for our CDs. So we got ourselves another one, and my boring task that I'm about to do is putting all the CDs into that. Before I do though, I just wanted to point out, my husband and I both went to school for music. He went for jazz and I went for classical, and I love Joshua Bell. I have seen him perform live twice. It's the only time in my life I've ever fangirled, because I actually got to meet him and shake his hand, and it was awesome. And then my husband he went to school for jazz performance. He's great. He loves jazz. So this bag is mostly jazz stuff and this one's mostly classical. And we're just gonna throw it all in there. Luna, do you find this task boring? Yes, that looked like a nod. Okay. You want to be pet? Luna, sit.
Yay, good. Oh, shake. Yay, good shaking.
Good job, Luna Bear. So I'm going to bake some cookies, and I wanted to show you all what I was using specifically. They're going to be peanut butter cookies, and they don't have any sugar, which is pretty nice, and they still taste pretty good. And you can trust me when I say that, because I am somebody who likes the taste of really garbage food that's processed, and I'm very skeptical when people say like, oh, this is gluten-free bread, but it tastes just as good. I'm always like, no, it definitely doesn't. So I'm telling you, these peanut butter cookies are yummy. So regular old salt, an egg, just whatever, some butter, some vanilla extract, pretty standard for cookies. But the thing that makes this recipe a little bit better is you get natural peanut butter. And the other thing is, instead of sugar and flour and everything, you just use the powder version of erythritol. That's it. That's the recipe. My dad is coming over tomorrow, and he's not supposed to have a lot of sugar, so I'm making these kind of for him, but also for us. I do want to clarify with the peanut butter that if you look at the nutrition label, it has 2 tablespoons as your serving size, and you're definitely going to be using more than that for this recipe. And it does say 2 grams of sugar. There's just no sugar added, and normally when you make cookies, if you're making peanut butter cookies too, you're not only usually using peanut butter that has, you know, sugar, but then you're putting more sugar in, and so that's why it's like no sugar, because you're not adding sugar to anything. But I just figured I'd let you guys know in case you're like, wait a second, there's no sugar? I didn't want to be a liar. Hey guys, I'm with Sean, and a little bit ago I asked my patrons over on Patreon if they would be kind enough to ask us some questions for a Q&A. So we are going to sit down and answer their questions.
So the first question is, do you watch anime subbed or dubbed? And we watch them either way.
Yeah.
I think with Vinland Saga, I mean, we've been watching it subbed because that's all that's out right now. But if it's something that has been out for a while, I think we tend to go dubbed. The next question is, what book do you think should be taught in school that isn't? And my answer is nerdy. I think Watchmen should be taught in school.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
Really?
I legitimately do. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an alternate history, but it does examine the Cold War in an interesting perspective. It also examines Vietnam.
I was going to say, for a lot of people, I'm kind of cheating. I've heard a lot of people say that they had to read Lord of the Rings in high school, and that wasn't a requirement at my school, and I kind of wish it was.
The next question is PlayStation, Xbox, or PC? So neither of us PC gamers.
No.
Really. I was an Xbox guy.
PlayStation.
I had a 360, and I still think the controllers for Xbox are superior.
I have freakishly small hands that I don't feel like you can really tell on camera, but I have a really, really absurdly small hands, and I'm a private violin teacher, and I'll have little kids that have like the same size hands as me. So PlayStation remotes for me, I think, are the perfect size.
I've learned to live with PlayStation. Learn to live with it.
Mm-hmm. What I actually find great about that question is just earlier I made a joke about how you just need to marry somebody who has the other console that you don't have. And he has Xbox and GameCube, and I brought PlayStation to the table. Next question is about video games, and it's asking when we're planning on putting up a video game channel, because I had mentioned quite a while ago that we were wanting to do that. I have no idea as of right now. I feel like we don't quite have the time to do that, but if we did, because they asked what we would do on that, what kinds of content we would have, I think I would want to structure it instead of being like a video game channel, because there's already plenty of those and plenty of wonderful personalities who do that. I would want to structure it like BookTube, where you do, instead of TBRs, you do TBP or something, like to be played. And then you do wrap-ups and you talk about the games you tried that month, and we could include footage of us playing it and stuff. We're going to stop there. There's a lot more questions, but we're going to answer them in other vlogs in the future. It's just, as of right now, we're starting to lose light, and it's progressively getting darker and darker. So we will answer some more in the future, but thank you so much to patrons for asking such great questions.
Out there, I am just letting you know some thoughts about Vengeful. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was bananas. It was super action-packed. Lots of cool superpowers. I've seen some people, I guess, didn't like it as much as the first one, but I actually liked it more than Vicious. I also don't really recall Vicious that well, but I know I liked this one more. I thought the superpowers that were introduced, the new ones, were unique. They were fresh takes on superpowers that you've seen before, but she made them more interesting. So I really, really dug it, and I hope all of you who read it along with us liked it as well. I also have Geekerella here by Ashley Poston. I had a good time. The beginning was a little skeptical because It is a Cinderella retelling, and I know the story of Cinderella. And at first I didn't see what, how it was going to be different. But, it gets there. And I liked the Prince character. I like that we got his perspective. And I think it had good things to say about fandoms, especially the toxic parts of fandoms. There was some good commentary, if you will, on gatekeeping. We see there's a male character who tells basically the main character that she can't, couldn't have possibly made her cosplay outfit herself. She can't know anything about the TV show that she likes because she's a girl. She can't be a real fan. But on the flip side, our main character, that same girl, also thinks that the Prince-like character can't be a fan because he's too good looking. So there was some interesting stereotypes that we took a look at, and then we all learned a valuable lesson. But I had a good time.
Luna Bear, what are you doing?
See, what did I get here? 15, 2, and 10 is 12.
I got 15, 2, 15, 4. 8 is 12.
Luna is upset that...
15, 2, 15, 4, 15, 6, 7, 8, 9. Give me 9 more.
Oh, jeez. And I have a lowly 15, 2 with the 5. 15, 4. 15, 6. So I started Trader's Blade, and I'm not far into it at all, but I already think it's pretty hilarious. Obviously, I'm not that far in, so maybe I'll change my mind and I won't really like it as it goes. But I'm hoping that this is going to be one that I end up really enjoying, because already just from its opening, I'm really liking it. So we just walked Luna Bear, and now we are going to have a movie night. Sean picked How to Train Your Dragon, which we've never seen, but somebody got it for us for our wedding, so we're going to watch it. Bye!